Welcome to 28 Days and Beyond.
Where we talk about our history, our heritage, and our culture.
I'm Amari.
I'm Kharisma. Welcome back.
Welcome.
Hi, Amari.
How's it going?
It's going.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
We did it again.
What's
I know
that? What's that?
we're in the same family
I guess.
of color. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I mean, that's a...
Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
what are we talking about today?
So today, you know, all right, it's common that if you were to go to elementary school, junior high, maybe even a high school, and you asked, you know, some young folks, what do you want to be when you grow up? That their response may be...
Athlete.
What else?
Doctor, rapper.
I was about to say, have some faith in the youth. You know what
I
I'm saying? It's
do.
like, nah. Right, but you generally, you know, we hear a lot coming out of in the realm of entertainment or
yeah.
athletics or things like that. The odds are extremely low,
Very,
right,
very low.
of getting into, you know, the NFL,
Yes,
right,
or the
any sort of,
NBA
or the
or-
NBA or any
yeah.
of these sort of things. Yet that still doesn't kill the dream, right? But what happens, unfortunately, is one, we're in a position where we really only see a shift in our situation having to be something extreme like that, right? Like the path is, oh, well, I'm gonna have to make it as an athlete, I'm gonna have to make it as an entertainer. But a lot of times, you know, even as students do succeed, they get into high school and they get into college as athletes, it's unfortunate that they don't always receive an education that prepares them for life beyond the field.
Yes, that is very true. Often, these athletes are being prepared to be athletes solely, you
Right.
know? So the fact that, you know, we hear these stories about athletes being passed through classes, you know, not really being given the education that they deserve, like you said, because the goal is to make the school look good,
Right.
you know,
Right.
for them, the goal is to get into the NFL or the NBA. For the
Right.
school, the goal is to make the school look good by having, you know, the stats and everything like that. So
Certainly.
it's unfortunate.
And then, of course, you've got organizations like, I'll go ahead and say it, the NCAA is a crooked organization. They're all a bunch of criminals. They're exploiting particularly young black people and basically just throwing them away and discarding them as soon as they no longer service them. I mean, you know, not paying them, you know, taking their image and their likeness on. We can go on and
The
on
list
about
goes
that
on,
sort of
yeah.
thing, right? But that's not what we're talking about today.
No.
Right? Today we're talking with Kelsey Stevens, who basically has dedicated his life to teaching young people about life beyond the field, right? Specifically going, it's great if you want to be an athlete and so on and so forth, but how can you receive an education that will serve you once you leave the field, right? So we'll be back with more 28 Days and Beyond after this. Welcome back to 28 Days and Beyond. We're joined now by Kelsey Stevens.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Glad to be here.
Hey.
Glad to be here with you.
So you have been working with the Children's Aid Society for 40 years.
40 solid years.
40
Wow.
years, yeah,
Yes.
working with young people.
Young people.
Tell us a little
and
about, you know, the different roles that you've played.
When I first began, I was the recreation supervisor. Moved from the recreation supervisor to the athletic director. I moved from the athletic director to the center director, which is Dunleavy Millbank, the pride of Harlem, the oasis of Harlem, on 118th Street between 5th and Lenox Avenues.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
We've had hundreds and hundreds of individuals come through with their kids. The parents have brought their kids back to us each and every time. The site is extremely known throughout New York, actually. We've had history of a lot of student athletes that have come, male and female. Let me make sure we're talking about males and females.
All right.
All right. And perhaps I'd just like to be proud to say this. My top student athlete, again, is attending Notre Dame, which you guys will probably see at some point. But no, we're very proud of the student athlete program that we have in terms of the boys and the girls, and the support that we get from all of their parents also. It's always been a challenge, perhaps, with upper administration, but again, I'm a one-person department, and I take pride in standing tall in terms of making sure that we have things available for the families that we're involved with. Be it from our national swimming team that we have, the AAU basketball programs, or the various kinds of things, again, that we do with the young people.
So what made you decide that you wanted to work with student athletes particularly?
Well, I think, again, I had some very dynamic mentors in my life, in terms of, again, making sure that you provide things for individuals that you are interested in, and those individuals who have the potential to be the best that they possibly can. And I think, again, what we always inform people about is that no matter what your skill level is now, what your academic level is now, that's not saying where you're going to be X amount of years from now. So again, it takes moments in time for you to continue to work towards whatever your interest may be. Most of my students are interested in being a quote-unquote an athlete, which is nice, which is great. But one of the other topics that I try to get them to understand along with their parents is that it's even more important to be outside the lines as opposed to being between the lines. And for us, outside the lines is pretty much what you guys are doing in terms of being a presenter of a program, a person behind the scenes with the cameras, someone doing the journalism. So those are the kinds of things that we look forward to our student athletes to become. And let me rephrase that again. It's not just the student athletes, but it's any young person that comes into our program. Again, we want them to realize that you want to minimize the possibilities of injuries. So let's work outside the lines. I need somebody to be a writer. I need somebody to be a photographer and all other kinds of things. Sports medicine is another good topic that I teach the kids about. Because the muscles and bones is something always that we talk about in terms of the amount of muscles in your body, the amount of bones, all those kinds of things that I want them to learn in terms of perhaps even being a person in terms of being a lifeguard, if you will. I'll toss that to another area. But there's a whole bunch of things. Even being a referee, which again takes our kids to a different level. Most referees perhaps that you see are not people of color in most cases, particularly in the NBA, the WNBA, the college level. So we again have a program where we teach kids, if they're interested, to be officials, referees. What does it take for a referee to start a track meet? What does it take for a referee to manage a swimming pool meet? What does it take for a referee to be a volleyball umpire? So again, our kids are not actually informed about those kind of things in regards to sports, but they always want you between the lines. Again, which is fine if they choose to do that and really work towards it. But my task, my interest is to get them to focus on outside the lines as well as inside.
Well, it sounds like you're giving the young people a number of options of what they can do, whether they're interested solely in sports, showing them, a variety of things that they can do, or, allowing them to kind of branch out and think about some other possibilities once their careers are over now. But we have to take a little bit of a break, but we want to hear a lot more about your program.
Terrific. I look forward to it.
We'll be back with more 28 Days and Beyond right after this.
And we're back on 28 Days and Beyond with Kelsey Stevens. So before the break, you were talking about, really teaching them about life outside of the lines and all the different things. But it would seem to me that it's kind of difficult to sell something like, journalism or, sports medicine when those positions don't have the sort of glamour and don't garner the same level of attention as a star athlete does. How have you been able to sell something like that?
I think, again, from the community that I'm involved with, if we slice that pie, we can slice that pie to so many parts. First slice would be 2, the second slice would be 4 parts, and so forth and so on. So my task, again, is to just broaden them in terms of what their possibilities are. So if they're interested, again, in those kind of areas, I relate that to their parents as well. So the key is, again, to get not just the young person interested, but the parent also to support the child in terms of moving towards those kind of endeavors. The challenge, again, is for the first thing that they hear sometimes is you can't do that, all right? And I'm saying, why can't you do it? I mean, don't shun yourself in terms of the possibilities that you may have. As I said earlier, we don't know where you're going to be 3 to 5 to 10 years from now. So what is the possibilities of you doing that? Who is your biggest challenger? And we say again, yourself. Yourself is your biggest challenge because you're going to have a lot of people saying you can't do this or you can't do that. Then you need to ask them, why can't I do it? Because perhaps you are not allowing me to do it or giving me the opportunity to do it. All right? But no, you can do whatever you want to do. It's just a matter of you putting your mind to it and moving forward with it. Like I said, I had mentors that were very, very strict in terms of making sure I did what I can perhaps do. And even in gymnastics, my instructor would always call me first to do a gymnastic kind of move. And I got upset with him one day. I said, why are you always calling me first? He said, because you can do it. I said, oh, okay, I appreciate that. So I'll make sure that I teach the other kids that, yes, you can do it also. It's just a matter of you putting the effort in terms of what you can do. That education, again, first came from Savannah State College in Savannah, Georgia. I just want to throw that out. And the second part came in with the management program at Columbia University. So again, I've had a lot of good people in terms of assisting us in terms of what we need to do for our young people and for our community as a whole.
Well, you said you've worked with this program for 40 years at this point. I mean, that's a lifetime, right?
Yes.
So what would you say has been the most rewarding aspect of working with these young people and being a major part of kind of shifting their mentality?
I think the proudest thing, two things perhaps is the proudest things, is to have them grow through the program, become a parent themselves, and then have this child come back to me. And the second piece that I think that's very important for me, if I've been there 40 years, in all honesty, I may have worked 2 years. Because I've had so much fun doing what I do and the assistance from the parents and the program people that we've been involved with. And my biggest paycheck is to perhaps have one of those kids that's gone away to college bring me a T-shirt from their college.
Wow.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's my biggest aspiration.
But you know, I'm thinking 40 years, which means you were in Harlem in the 80s, then Harlem in the 90s, and then Harlem in the 2000s, and now the 2010s, which each decade kind of has its own identity. How have you seen things moving, whether moving forward, moving backwards, staying still, particularly in terms of the Black community?
I think, again, it's pretty much like a roller coaster, as with most situations. As we talk now or speak now, the Harlem community has changed tremendously, as with a lot of other communities. But the other part to that is that you still have to keep your foot in the door. You still have to leave that window cracked in terms of the kinds of things that you can bring to the program and the history also of the program. As I said, Dunleavy Millbank has been there since 1958. I've also started there as a kid myself. And really the facility has changed in terms of the structure of it. But the attitude, the personalities of everyone that comes in there, they understand that Millbank is a community service program, Children's Aid is a community service program, and that's what we pride ourselves on, giving back to others.
Well, thank you for all the work that you do with Children's Aid and the Harlem community. Thank you.
Thank y'all. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll be back with more 28 Days and Beyond right after this.
And we're back, 28 Days and Beyond.
Yes, we are back. We're back.
We're back.
No, that was really cool.
Yo, Kelsey Stevens been working there for 40
years.
I mean, I guess, you know, people put in work, but like that, I think what was really cool was, you know, he said maybe he worked 2 years of his life. So to really find that passion and be able to just do it for that long, that's a blessing, not only to him or for him, but to others as well.
Yeah,
definitely.
And hearing him say, you know, seeing people that he's seen come through the program have their own children and then come back with their children, like seeing that generational turnaround, I think is really amazing as well.
You know, I'm a thug, but stuff like that makes me choke up.
Did you tear up a little bit?
A little bit. I mean, that's emotion.
I thought I saw your eye glistening a little bit. I wasn't sure if it was the light.
Yeah, exactly, right. But for real, I mean, just think about that, right? You have, all intents and purposes, that's your grandchild at that point. This is you know, he said he's working with people from the time they're 10 years old on up, for them to, and then to have children and bring them back. I mean, that's a beautiful thing.
And I think it's also really cool, you know, just this idea of broadening the horizon, right? When we think about how many young people that are interested in becoming professional athletes don't get to that level, even if they are very successful through high school, throughout college, having these other things that they're thinking about as other options, I think is really important as well. Not to dim anybody's light or say, you know, you can't do it, but just to kind of open people's eyes that, you know, there are other things that you can do, that you can succeed in outside of what you may have gone into
you know, I had made a comment in our conversation about like, yeah, but you know, that's not as glamorous as, right? And I was saying that because I was thinking about my experiences working with young folks and their sort of knee-jerk responses. They want to be an athlete, right?
It's
You
not
want
even just about the fame, though. It's about the money,
I mean,
the
it's
wealth,
right, but you
right?
say like, all right, word, you okay? You want to be a basketball player? You play on your school team? Nah. You play on the weekends? Nah. Oh, okay. So at that point, what it really seems like is it's less about I actually want to be an athlete, but like, but this is all I really.
Right.
I don't. So what's really powerful about the work that Kelsey's doing is that it's exposing people to different options that they may not have known about previously.
Right.
So then it's like, I mean, cool, like, yeah, I like playing basketball, but I'm much more interested in, he's talking about sports medicine or, you know what I mean? It could be
Being a
million
referee.
things, right? Well, maybe they want to be professional origami expert and they didn't know that that was a career, you know what I'm saying?
Lots of folding practices required.
Come on, think about you go to some of these hotels, you know what I'm saying? And anyway, that's.
As an athlete myself.
As a what?
Athlete.
You're past your prime is what that means.
Basically,
Oh, okay,
in a
yeah,
word,
well, I've
that's
been
what
past
that
my
means.
prime about 20-something years at this
That's
point.
what that means. So yes, I appreciated all of that
Word,
conversation,
yeah,
all of that
definitely so.
dialogue.
Definitely so. Well, I mean, you know, certainly, again, I think what's really powerful about this season's guests is they're all people who are really making an impact on their communities.
For sure.
And it reminds me that, you know, perhaps I need to reevaluate my own life choices and,
True indeed.
and make sure that I'm being all that I can be for my community.
Yes,
Yeah.
true indeed. And for those in the New York area, they can check out, or not, they can check out www.aidssociety.org.
Children, they say, okay.
Thank you. Can we do that over?
Is children'saidsociety.org?
You want to take
No,
it?
you got it. You got it. You got it.
Children'saidsociety.org.
Because we could have just flashed it on the bottom of the screen, but you wanted to be all ambitious, so go hard
I
or go
was
home.
trying.
You know what I mean?
Children'saidsociety.org.
So that's only a New York organization?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that because of the commercial. I thought it was, okay. You got a cool song. Do they still air those commercials?
Yes.
Tell me when we're ready to jump back in. Sorry. Children'saidsociety.org.
Look at Amari.
Yeah.
And for those interested in finding out more, they can check out children'saidsociety.org to find out more about the program and all the wonderful things they're doing.
That's what's up.
Yes.
Well, this has been another episode of 28 Days and Beyond.
Where we talk about our history, our heritage, and our culture. We'll see you next time.
Peace.